9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing. Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
Vielleicht nur als 5%.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan.
And I'm Raisha Sehgal. On the show today, it is day 2 of the Republic National Convention, and it looks like Trump's ex-rivals have turned into endorsers and will be speaking at the RNC today, rallying around the theme of unity and safety. Meanwhile, latest reports reveal that the US Secret Service has increased Trump's security after they learned of an Iranian plot to kill him. All that and a lot more on the show today.
Also on World DNA, in the ongoing Israel-Hamas war, the IDF has now claimed that they've eliminated half of the leadership of Hamas military wing, with approximately 14,000 fighters killed or captured, including brigade commanders and battalion and company level commanders as well. And this has happened since October last year. IDF claims to have destroyed thousands of militant targets along with these killings. We are going to be tracking those developments closely for you right here on World DNA. Let's get you started with the headlines.
Donald Trump's failed primary challengers take the stage on day 2 of the Republican Party convention in a show of unity towards its all-dominant champion and now official US presidential contestant.
The US Secret Service increased security for Donald Trump weeks ago after authorities learned of an Iranian plot to kill him, although it was not linked to the recent attempt on Trump's life.
Jurors find powerful US Senator Bob Menendez guilty on all counts of corruption after gold bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash were found at his home, sparking calls for his resignation.
Palestinian health officials claim at least 57 people were killed in Israeli bombardments of southern and central areas as Israeli forces battled Hamas-led fighters in several parts of the Gaza Strip.
The Islamic State claims responsibility for attack on mosque in Oman that left at least 9 people dead, including 3 attackers. A rare security breach in the oil-producing Gulf state.
A Comorian flag oil tanker capsizes off Oman. A search is underway for its missing crew of 16, including 13 Indians.
Six Vietnamese nationals were found dead in a luxury hotel room in central Bangkok on Tuesday. Police suspects they were poisoned.
Bangladesh orders schools and universities around the country to close indefinitely after 6 students were killed in protests that prompted the mobilization of paramilitaries to keep order. As investigation into the assassination attempt on Donald Trump continues, reports have emerged stating that the US Secret Service had increased security for Trump just weeks ago after they learned of an Iranian plot to kill him.
CNN has reported that US authorities received intelligence on a plan by Tehran targeting the former US president.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
As a result, Trump was under boosted protection when he was attacked in Pennsylvania. Now, this plot has not been linked to the shooting. As per reports, there's no indication that the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was connected to the Iranian plan. But the Secret Service and the Trump campaign were made aware of the threat before the rally, according to a national security official.
The emergence of this intelligence threat and the enhanced security for Trump has reinforced the question, that is, how did the shooter breach security at the rally?
The Secret Service is facing intense scrutiny as the attack is being seen as a devastating failure of the agency's core duty. Calls demanding Director Kimberly Sheetal's resignation have been surfacing since the attack. Questions are being raised on the delay in killing the shooter.
Footage has shown signs of trouble that were evident before shots rang out. Eyewitnesses at the rally saw a man with a rifle and then alerted the police and Secret Service agents beforehand.
Yeah, he's laying down.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting cartel to get a sentence.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
Now, investigators are trying to piece together how a 20-year-old with no military background managed to be a step ahead of Secret Service agents. He was able to fire 8 gunshots before being killed.
Expectedly, security arrangements for the Republican National Convention came under the microscope as well. On Tuesday, police officers in Milwaukee shot and killed a man about a mile from the convention. According to reports, officers saw him brandish a knife while patrolling the area and fired at him after he turned towards them. The man did not appear to have any connection to the convention. Well, for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani explains us as to what reason was given by the Secret Service director for the major security lapse on the 13th of this month.
The Secret Service continues to face intense scrutiny after that failed assassination attempt on a former President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheetle addressed questions about how the gunman was able to access that nearby rooftop, fire shots at the former president, and ultimately kill a rally-goer. She cited safety concerns regarding the sloped roof and said because of that, the building was secured from the inside. Meanwhile, U.S. authorities say that they received intelligence of a plot by Iran to assassinate Donald Trump, leading to increase security measures. However, there seems to be no direct connection between crooks, that gunman, and the Iranian plot. The security lapses by the Secret Service has raised concerns among U.S. officials, criticizing the Secret Service, saying that they did not do more and be more cautious despite the Iranian threat. Investigations and congressional hearings will be underway as soon as next weekend. President Biden has also ordered an independent review.
Well, ahead of Trump's address at the RNC, Susan further tells us how this lapse will impact the final day of the RNC.
Police officers from Columbus, Ohio shot and killed a man near the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The man, who was reportedly a regular at a local homeless encampment, was seen brandishing a knife and then ultimately turning to the officers, and in turn the officers firing at him. And while the incident occurred near the convention site, authorities say that the man did not appear to have any connection to the convention or plans to approach it either. Now, the shooting has sparked criticism by some local residents and activists as well, questioning the presence of out-of-town law enforcement in Milwaukee, and also the suspension of body camera footage released during this convention as well.
Well, investigation is ongoing into the assassination attempt, and now latest reports reveal that the U.S. Secret Service had increased security for Trump weeks ago after they had learned of an Iranian plot to kill him.
And Resha, this makes it all the more shocking that how this man was able to get past the security, even though they had a heads up of increasing security for the former president.
Absolutely, Shivan.
Up here.
Now, after a busy opening day, Republicans from across the country returned to Milwaukee's FISA Forum, where the Grand Old Party adopted its 16-page platform.
And that was heavily influenced by the former U.S. President, Donald Trump. Well, the second night of the RNC also features a display of united front by Trump's main challengers.
Now, 3 of Trump's political rivals turned endorsers will be speaking at the Republican National Convention today. This includes Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, and businessman Vivek Ramaswamy. Haley, who just 4 months ago said that the US cannot go through 4 more years of chaos under Trump, was not expected to appear at the RNC, but the assassination attempt on Trump has reshuffled the deck, and Haley, along with Ramaswamy and DeSantis, are expected to speak at the convention.
A number of prominent Republican lawmakers and contestants spoke on the first day of the convention, including Senator Tim Scott and Brian Donalds of Florida. With a major focus on the economy, the Republicans took an aim at Biden and touted a better outlook under a second Trump administration.
Trump also made an appearance at the convention center with a bandage on his ear on day 1 of the convention. He is expected to walk into the arena again now.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden has called for a ban on the type of the semi-automatic rifle that was used in the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
Occurred. And so that's why I wanted to make sure that that's focusing today on, that's what we're here today. Substances, deliver new research innovations and
Well, according to a video of a phone call leaked on social media, Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump is trying to coax Kennedy out of the race and endorse Trump.
Now, in since deleted footage of the call, Trump can be heard saying, and I'm going to quote here, "I would love you to do something, and I think it would be so good for you and so big for you, we're going to win," quote unquote. To which Kennedy replies, "Yeah," quote unquote. Trump can be heard further saying we're way ahead of the guy, which seems like he is referring to Democratic incumbent President Joe Biden.
Kennedy supporters range across the political spectrum from liberal to conservative to independent. And some polls show he would draw voters from Trump and Biden both. Trump also spoke to Kennedy about Saturday's assassination attempt, saying that the bullet that hit his ear, and I quote, felt like a giant, like the world's largest mosquito. Trump's phone call with Kennedy also included a conversation about vaccines. The video shows Kennedy listening on a speakerphone as Trump shares disproven claims about childhood vaccines. That is an issue that has helped Kennedy amass a loyal following among people who reject the scientific consensus that the benefits of vaccines far outweigh the risk of rare complications.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. apologized after the video was posted online. He said on social media platform X that when President Trump called me, I was taping with an in-house videographer. I should have ordered the videographer to stop recording immediately. I am mortified that this was posted. I apologize to the president, quote unquote. A day earlier, Kennedy posted on social media about the meeting with Trump, writing, our main topic was national unity and I hope to meet with Democratic leaders about that as well. No, I am not dropping out of the race.
The Democratic Party views Kennedy as an election spoiler who would take votes away from Biden and in effect help Trump win the White House. Kennedy began the race as a Democratic contestant before declaring himself as an independent.
U.S. Senator Bob Menendez has been found guilty on all charges in his corruption trial. The 16 criminal counts are tied to accepting bribery, including gold bars and a Mercedes-Benz.
And all this in exchange for helping foreign governments. However, the senator continues to deny the charges. Take a listen.
Moments ago, a jury in this courthouse convicted Senator Robert Menendez of corruption and national security offenses. This case has always been about shocking levels of corruption. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes in the form of cash, gold bars, a Mercedes-Benz. This wasn't politics as usual, this was politics for profit. And now that a jury has convicted Bob Menendez, his years of selling his office to the highest bidder have finally come to an end.
Good afternoon. Obviously, I'm deeply disappointed by the jury's decision. I have every faith that the law and the facts did not sustain that decision and that we will be successful upon appeal. I have never violated my public oath. I have never been anything but a patriot of my country and for my country. I have never, ever been a foreign agent, and the decision rendered by the jury today would put at risk every member of the United States Senate in terms of what they think a foreign agent would be.
After a 9-week trial, a Manhattan federal court jury delivered Tuesday's verdict. After 12 hours of deliberation, Menendez, who is the former head of Senate Foreign Relations Committee, will be sentenced on the 29th of October.
Meanwhile, Democrats are turning up the heat on the senator. Democrat Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has called upon Menendez to resign. In fact, some senators have also threatened to expel the New Jersey Democrats if he refuses to step down immediately.
Even though Senate rules do not require members to step down over felony convictions, over 31 Democratic senators till now have asked for Menendez to resign. For now, the senator has not responded to the demands over his stepping down.
As for prosecutors, the FBI have found gold bars and over $400,000 in cash hidden in places including jackets and shoes throughout the home probe research. The attorney relied on testimonies and Menendez's emails, text messages and phone records to prove that the bribery and wrongdoing. Two business persons, Wael Hannah and Fred Davies, are being tried over accusations that they sought the senator to illegally aid the Egyptian government.
A third business person, Jose Uribe, has pleaded guilty and testified against Menendez in the trial.
Moving on to our continuous coverage of the ongoing Israel-Hamas war, close to 57 people perished in targeted Israeli aerial bombardment across the Gaza Strip on Tuesday.
And of course, these include Israeli airstrikes on a UN-run school that housed displaced families in the Nuseirat camp that resulted in the death of 23 people, wounded many others. Take a look at this report.
Israeli strikes on the Gaza Strip killed at least 57 people on Tuesday, according to Palestinian health officials, as Israeli forces battled Hamas-led fighters. Gaza health officials said those casualties included 23 killed at a United Nations school in Nuseirat. The Israeli military said in a statement it attacked a group of terrorists who had operated from inside the school after taking steps to mitigate the risk to civilians. Gaza's health ministry said another 17 were dead after an airstrike in Khan Yunis on a car near a tented area housing displaced families in the humanitarian designated area of Al-Mawasi. Tahrir Matir witnessed the airstrike.
The car was moving and a young man was walking. The car was targeted, blood was splashing, and shrapnel hit our tents, and martyrs were left on the street. We screamed, "We need an ambulance." We put them on carts and rickshaws, and the ambulance came after a while.
Reuters footage showed residents carrying bodies of the dead and wounded on donkey carts and in rickshaws to hospitals. The Israeli military said the strike targeted a senior militant in the Islamic Jihad group, an ally of Hamas. In a statement, the military said, quote, "We are looking into the reports stating that several civilians were injured as a result of the strike." Israel has vowed to eradicate Hamas after its militants killed 1,200 people and took over 250 hostage in an attack on southern Israeli communities last October 7th, according to Israeli tallies. At least 38,713 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's retaliatory offensive since then, Gaza health authorities said in their latest update on Tuesday. The Israeli military said in a statement on Tuesday that half of the leadership of Hamas's military wing has been eliminated, with approximately 14,000 fighters killed or captured since the start of the Gaza campaign.
Now, as Israel continues to pound the besieged Gaza Strip, its military claims that they've eliminated nearly half of Hamas' military wing.
And that is approximately 14,000 militants. The IDF says these commanders have either been killed or captured. Well, the military says among those killed are key brigade commanders as well as the battalion and company commanders. It claims destroying thousands of militant targets, and the list of casualties released by the Israeli army includes Marwan Issa, the deputy commander of Hamas's Is-ad-Din al-Armed Wing Group.
But it does not mention Mohammad Deif, the chief of Al-Qassam brigades, who was the target of the massive Israeli airstrike on a designated safe zone recently. At least 90 displaced civilians sheltering there in the makeshift tents were killed. Hamas hasn't confirmed the number of its fighters who died in the war, but has rejected IDF's claims.
Israel's estimate suggests that its forces took out 6 militants at the rank of brigade commanders, over 20 militants at the rank of battalion commanders, and about 150 militants at the rank of company commanders.
Now, IDF's chief of the General Staff, Herzi Halevi, emphasized that his soldiers are committed to dismantling Hamas and its operatives. In a post on social media, Halevi said, and I'm going to quote him here, "We are determined to continue and pursue senior Hamas officials, those who planned and carried out the October 7th massacre and dedicated their lives to the murder of innocent civilians."
Israeli forces have targeted approximately 37,000 sites from the air in the Palestinian territory since the start of the war. This includes more than 25,000 Hamas infrastructures and rocket launch sites. Well, as Israel marks the 10-year anniversary of the 2014 Israel-Gaza war amid the ongoing conflict right now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a speech in Jerusalem where he was heckled by the public. Netanyahu said that Hamas, and I'm quoting here, under increasing pressure because of Israel's military operation. But he was interrupted by a man in the crowd who shouted, "You are endangering the hostages."
החמאס בלחץ, ובלחץ גובר כי אנחנו פוגעים בו, מסכלים את מפקדיו הבכירים, מחסלים אלפי מחבלים, ובלחץ כי אנחנו עומדים איתן על דרישותינו הצודקות חרף כל הלחצים. זהו בדיוק הזמן להגביר עוד יותר את הלחץ כדי להשיב הביתה את החטופים, את כל החטופים, החיים והמתים כאחד, ולהשיג את כל מטרות המלחמה.
During the October 7th rampage, Hamas kidnapped roughly 250 people. About 120 still remain in captivity, and about a third of them are believed to be dead. In an effort to put an end to the war, China has expressed willingness to facilitate reconciliation between rival Palestinian factions. They are scheduled to meet in Beijing this month.
中方一贯支持
China always supports the Palestinian factions in achieving reconciliation and unity through dialogue and consultation, because the reconciliation and dialogue between the Palestinian factions provides a platform and creates opportunities. China is working in the same direction as all relevant parties and is willing to strengthen communication and coordination with all parties to make joint efforts to achieve the goal of internal reconciliation in Palestine.
提到的具体问题，如有消息，中方将适时发布。
Meanwhile, a Liberia-flagged oil tanker, Chios Leon, was left damaged in a fresh wave of maritime attacks by the Houthis. The tanker was seen spilling oil into the Red Sea from its port side. This was not an isolated incident, as another ship, the Panama-flagged Bentley, was ambushed 100 nautical miles northwest of Yemen's port city of Hodeidah. Footage from the attacks were released by the group on Tuesday. And well, with that, it's time to slip into a quick short break.
Don't go anywhere. Come right back. This is World DNA. We will be back after this break.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
What does India want from the new government's budget? How will it respond to expectations from industry? What's in store for you, the taxpayer? Is the government using your hard-earned money wisely? WION cuts out the noise and serves you the facts. Watch continuous coverage on India Budget, Roadmap to a Developed Nation.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Faster, higher, stronger. Words that mean so much on a sporting pitch every 4 years.
ओलंपिक मेडल ने मुझे ये सिखाया कि किस तरीके से अपने आप को संभालना है.
The world's best sporting talents are assembling in Paris later this month. The quest for an Olympic medal is sport's greatest pursuit.
I think people are looking at the Olympics with a lot of hope. More than 200 countries all coming together.
The Olympic Games return to the French capital after a century.
There's not really any cities that compare to it.
Catch all the build-up to the Paris Games on WION. World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Raisha and me, Shivan. Let's get you started with the headlines.
Donald Trump's failed primary challengers take the stage on day 2 of the Republican Party convention in a show of unity towards its all-dominant champion and now official U.S. presidential contestant.
The US Secret Service increased security for Donald Trump just weeks ago after authorities learned of an Iranian plot to kill him, although it was not linked to the recent attempt on Trump's life.
Jurors find powerful U.S. Senator Bob Menendez guilty on all counts of corruption after gold bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash were found at his home, sparking calls for his resignation.
Palestinian health officials claim at least 57 people were killed in Israeli bombardments of southern and central areas as Israeli forces battled Hamas-led fighters in several parts of the Gaza Strip on Tuesday.
Islamic State claims responsibility for attack on a mosque in Oman that left at least 9 people dead, including 3 attackers. A rare security breach in the oil-producing Gulf state.
A Comorian-flagged oil tanker capsizes off Oman. A search is underway for its missing crew of 16, including 13 Indians.
Six Vietnamese nationals were found dead in a luxury hotel room in central Bangkok on Tuesday. Police suspects they were poisoned.
Bangladesh orders schools and universities around the country to close indefinitely after 6 students were killed in protests that prompted the mobilization of paramilitaries to keep order. Bangladesh is on the edge. At least 6 people have been killed and over 100 others injured as violent anti-quota protests continue to rock the country.
Deadly clashes were witnessed as demonstrators opposing quotas for government jobs battled counter-demonstrators loyal to the ruling party. The government has now ordered an indefinite nationwide closure of schools, colleges and also institutes in the country.
The violence which erupted on Monday night has now spread across the country. Reports suggest that armed cadres and activists of Bangladesh's ruling Awami League, along with its associated student wings, took to the streets to counter protesters who were demanding the removal of the quota system in government jobs.
Deadly confrontations occurred in multiple locations in Dhaka.
Party guarders were seen brandishing sticks, bats, helmets and even handguns, labelling the anti-quota protesters as quote-unquote traitors. Protests intensified after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina refused to meet the demands of students, citing ongoing court proceedings. Since 14th of July, Sheikh Hasina's party supporters have gathered and confronted the demonstrators who blocked major thoroughfares in Dhaka, demanding a revision of the government job reservations.
আমরা হচ্ছে ওখানে মিছিল করছিলাম তো বিজয় একাত্তর হলে প্রথমত হামলাটা হয় আমরা পরবর্তীতে ভিসিতে আবার ব্যাক করার সময় ওখানে কিছুক্ষণ অবস্থান করতেছিলাম যখন আমরা ভিসি চত্বরে অবস্থান করে কিছুক্ষণ কথা বলে বিশেষ করে তখনই ভিসিতে পিছন থেকে এসে ওরা আমাদের উপরে আবার হামলা করে ছাত্রলীগ আমাদের উপরে আবার হামলা করে একাত্তরে ওরা হামলা ছিল ওখান থেকে ইট মারা শুরু হয়েছে এরপরে ভিসিতে এসে ওরা আবার আমাদের উপরে ছাত্রলীগ আমাদের উপরে হামলা করছে এবং খুবই টার্গেটেড ভাবে প্রত্যেক শিক্ষার্থীর মাথায় তারা
These are the first major demonstrations against Hasina's government since she won a 4th straight term in January. The demonstrators are angry over public sector job quotas, including a 30% quota for family members of freedom fighters from the 1971 War of Independence. Amid high youth unemployment in the country, these demonstrations have taken a pivotal turn in Bangladesh. The United States has now expressed concern over the move by the Pakistani government to ban former Prime Minister Imran Khan's party.
They've stressed that Washington will keep an eye on the situation in the country with regard to upcoming decisions of the government and the courts. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller, during the daily briefing at the White House, said this is the beginning of what will be a complex political process in Pakistan. He said that banning a political party is something that would be of great concern to the U.S. as Washington supports the peaceful upholding of constitutional and democratic principles, including respect for human rights and freedom of expression.
Miller further said United States will continue to monitor these decisions and further decisions by the courts. The remarks came when the U.S. State Department spokesperson was responding to a question comparing the recent assassination bid on Trump.
With a similar attack on jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan in November 2022, he said that the United States is against political violence in any country, including Pakistan, and has always condemned it.
Is that no, we've seen the reports and the statements made by the government. Our understanding this is the beginning of a complex process, but certainly the banning of a political party is something that would be of great concern to us.
Interestingly, the concern over the ban on PTI has come on the same day as the U.S. administration, which Imran Khan had blamed for his ouster from power in 2022, calling it a foreign conspiracy plotted in the U.S.
On Monday, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif-led Pakistan government announced the ban on the PTI and decided to move top court to press treason charges against Imran Khan. The government accused PTI of anti-state activities by receiving foreign funds from illegal sources and rioting in the country. At least 6 people have been found dead by the police at an upmarket hotel in Bangkok.
Well, among the dead is an American of Vietnamese descent, and the rest are Vietnamese. Well, the case is shrouded in mystery as 5 bodies were found lying inside a room and the 6th was found by the door.
The law enforcement has ruled out earlier reports that the foreign tourists were killed in a shooting. Instead, they say that poisoning is the suspected cause of the deaths. Grand Hyatt Erawan Hotel has over 350 rooms and is located in a popular tourist district known for luxury shopping and restaurants. Thailand's economy is heavily reliant on tourism. The country's premier does not want the mystery deaths of the tourists to negatively impact the country's reputation as a welcoming destination for holidaymakers.
Thai police are investigating the deaths of 6 foreign nationals whose bodies were found in a room in a Hyatt hotel in Bangkok on Tuesday. They are looking for a 7th person in connection with the incident. All 6 were of Vietnamese descent, including 2 Americans. Police believe they may have ingested something that killed them and that they were not the victims of robbery or assault.
Initially, from the scene inspection, there was no fight, no harm done. The property, as far as we can see, has not been ransacked. It is assumed that there was no intention toward the property and no outsiders entered, as determined from the fingerprint investigation. It is possible that it occurred from the inside, possibly a hideout, which indeed originated from the inside.
The U.S. State Department said Tuesday that it is monitoring the situation.
Whenever a U.S. citizen dies in a foreign country, local authorities are responsible for determining the cause of death.
Thailand Prime Minister Soita Thaiwasin, who visited the hotel on Tuesday, has ordered a swift investigation. His office said he was concerned about the impact on tourism. It's the key driver for the country's economy. Last year, 28 million visitors spent nearly $34 billion in Thailand. The tourism sector was shaken in October by a shooting spree at a luxury shopping mall close to the Hyatt, in which 2 foreigners were killed.
On the wall of business now, the lead up to the 2024 presidential election, the battle over the economy and inflation has intensified, pitting Biden against his rival Donald Trump.
Well, Biden recently celebrated a modest decline in inflation, the first in 4 years, with June's consumer price index showing a 0.1% drop. Despite this, costs for essentials like food and housing remain stubbornly high, with prices up 3% from a year earlier.
Well, U.S. President Joe Biden touted the decrease as a sign of progress, attributing it to his economic policies, which he claims have spurred job creation and wage growth in the country. However, the average American continues to feel the pinch, with rent rising to 21.9% and home prices climbing 29.3% since Biden took office. Food prices have risen sharply too, with staples like eggs staggering up by 85%.
In contrast, former President Trump and his supporters argue that Biden's policies have fueled inflation, exacerbating economic hardships. They point to sustained inflation rates above the Federal Reserve's target and argue that Biden's spending initiatives have driven up prices and interest rates. With Biden facing internal pressure from within his party and criticism from Republicans, the economic debate is shaping up to be a pivotal issue in the upcoming election. Republicans accuse Biden of failing to deliver on his promises to tame inflation and are rallying around promises of tax cuts and deregulation to spur economic recovery. As the campaign heats up, both sides are framing the inflation battle as central to their economic visions for America's future, making it a critical factor for voters heading to the polls in November. As China's policymakers convene at this week's twice-a-decade economic meeting, they are under pressure to increase support after a decline in consumer spending dampened an export boom. Take a look at this next report.
China's twin-track economy is generating doom and gloom headlines about domestic woes one moment and growing fears around the world about the dominance of its manufacturers the next. Conflicting signs on Monday indicated that industrial production is strong, but consumption is lackluster due to the prolonged property downturn. As a result, the pace of GDP growth for the June quarter was the worst it has been in 5 quarters. However, a glimmer of hope is emerging. Xi Jinping's persistent pursuit of high-quality growth driven by technology is now bearing fruit. While the US and Japan saw significant economic downturns as a result of their housing markets, China has been able to maintain economic growth close to its target of about 5%, driven by technological advancements and export boom. At the third plenum, Xi and other senior communist officials meet to discuss economic strategy for the future. Still, a substantial obstacle is blocking their path. The disappointing retail sales figures for June indicate that Chinese consumers still haven't bought into the hype. The economy, though, has been able to weather the storm with the influx of inexpensive electric vehicles and solar panels into global markets. However, this has provoked a protectionist reaction from the governments in the US and Europe. The recession in the real estate market is also weighing heavily on the economy despite billions and billions of dollars in stimulus. What's adding to the already complex mix of risks is growing bets of Donald Trump winning US presidential elections. According to political experts, after the assassination attempt over the weekend and Trump's bleeding, fist-pumping exit from the stage in Pennsylvania, things could get even rougher if he is re-elected in November. Trump has threatened to impose 60% tariffs on Chinese imports. In Xi's view, the protectionist attacks serve to fortify his determination to make China self-sufficient in key areas like high-tech computer chips so that the country can weather any storm in trade or military tensions. If China can fight the United States-led containment efforts, a Bloomberg analyst predicts that Beijing's high-tech industry will contribute 19% of GDP by 2026, up from 11% in 2018. For now, though, the risks point to a significant economic downturn in China. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Let's now take a look at all the news from the world of technology. Craig Wright, the self-proclaimed Bitcoin inventor, is facing a criminal investigation in Britain. It's alleged that Wright repeatedly lied and forged documents to support his false claim. He had long claimed to have been the author of a 2008 white paper, the foundational text of Bitcoin, published under another name called Satoshi Nakamoto. Currently, the court trial is underway to uncover the real identity of the Bitcoin inventor. During the trial, the judge ruled that Wright's case will now be referred to Britain's Crown Prosecution Service, also known as CPS. The CPS will consider whether Wright should be prosecuted for the wholesale perjury and forgery of documents and whether a warrant for arrest and possible extradition is required.
Russian antivirus software maker Kaspersky Labs has announced it will wind down its US operations from the 20th of July. This follows the Biden administration's plans to ban sales of the company's products in the country. Kaspersky has reportedly stopped allowing consumers to purchase any products on its website. Last month, the US government cited security risks posed by Russia's influence on the cybersecurity company. The new US restrictions starting September 29th will ban downloads, resales and licensing of Kaspersky products.
Intelligent humanoid robots are now working as bank lobby managers in China's Shanghai. Shanghai has opened the country's first training base for these robots. The robots have human-like bodies and movements and use AI for vision, hearing and also voice. Engineers have trained these robots for tasks like customer consulting, business strategies and also operating smart teller machines.
And let's now take a look at what's making